Good Times, the iconic sitcom that ran from 1974 to 1979, not only entertained audiences with its humor but also highlighted the lives of a close-knit family facing tough times. However, many of the show's beloved cast members have tragically passed away over the years. In this tribute, we honor 35 actors from Good Times who are no longer with us. From heartbreaking losses to those who fought battles behind the scenes, we reflect on their incredible talents, the unforgettable roles they played, and how their contributions to the show continue to resonate today. Join us in remembering these stars and the legacies they left behind. Jeanette Du Bois brought life to the charismatic and fashionable Willona Woods when she joined Good Times in 1974 at the age of 42. Willona was witty, outspoken, and independent, often adding humor while also tackling serious themes of single motherhood and financial struggles. Despite the character's popularity, Du Bois never achieved major success again, instead finding sporadic work in television and voice acting. Her personal life was deeply troubled. Her marriage to Sajid Gupta ended in divorce, leaving her to raise their children alone while struggling financially. Although she later found some stability, she faced declining health in her final years. Suffering from chronic heart issues, she lived in solitude, away from the spotlight that once embraced her. On February 17, 2020, she died of cardiac arrest at 87, her body reportedly going undiscovered for hours, marking a tragic end to a life once filled with vibrant energy.
For a funky selection of grooves for your two. Brought to you by Big Bubba's Barbecue Beef and Midtown Merchandise Mart.
John Amos played James Evans Sr., the hardworking and devoted father. When Good Times began in 1974, he was 35. His character represented the daily struggles of a black patriarch determined to lift his family out of poverty. However, behind the scenes, Amos frequently clashed with the show's producers over what he saw as the show's lack of depth, leading to his character's abrupt death and his departure. His career took a major hit afterward, as he struggled to find roles of the same caliber. His personal life was equally troubled. He endured 2 divorces, financial hardships, and estrangement from his children at various points. In his later years, he suffered from severe health problems, including diabetes and heart disease, which left him physically weakened and in need of medical care. On August 21, 2024, he died of congestive heart failure at 84, his final years marked by struggles with both health and finances, a stark contrast to the strong family man he had once portrayed.
Just look at him. Strutting like a peacock.
Why not, baby? He ain't short on hands.
Oh, James.
Doesn't make sense.
Esther Rolle took on the role of Florida Evans in Good Times in 1974 at the age of 54, portraying a strong, compassionate mother who was the backbone of her struggling family. Florida's unwavering moral compass and warmth made her beloved, but Rolle fought behind the scenes for more realistic storylines, clashing with producers who prioritized comedy over social issues. Though respected, her advocacy came at a cost. She struggled to find work beyond similar matronly roles. Her personal life mirrored her career frustrations. Her brief marriage to Oscar Robinson ended without children, leaving her deeply lonely in her later years. As she aged, diabetes ravaged her body, leading to painful complications that restricted her mobility. She spent her final years in declining health, growing weaker and more isolated. On November 17, 1998, at 78, she succumbed to complications from diabetes, passing away in a nursing home, far from the strong maternal figure the world had once admired.
Daddy, you keep just about everything we own in working order.
Hey, James, that's right. And with all the talent you got in.
Johnny Brown became a household name as the bumbling yet lovable building superintendent Nathan Bookman, joining Good Times in 1975 at the age of 38. Bookman was often the butt of jokes, but Brown's comedic timing made the character memorable. However, the role also became a curse. He was typecast and struggled to find serious acting opportunities afterward. While he remained married to his wife, June Brown, for decades, financial instability put pressure on his home life, and long work absences created distance between him and his children. His later years were plagued by weight-related health issues, including diabetes and heart disease, leading to frequent hospitalizations. In his final months, he struggled with mobility and increasing isolation. On March 2, 2022, he died of cardiac arrest at 84, his death barely making headlines, a painful reminder of how Hollywood often forgets its once-beloved stars.
I heard there's gonna be a wedding around here. Was it an accident I wasn't invited? No, Bookman, it was on purpose. Hey, what's that funny-looking stuff over here?
Ben Powers played Keith Anderson in 1978 at 28, portraying Thelma's loving and ambitious husband, whose dreams of an NFL career were shattered by a tragic knee injury. His character represented hope and determination despite setbacks, mirroring Powers' own struggles in Hollywood. Though he secured roles in Laverne and Shirley and Gimme a Break, his career never reached the heights he had envisioned. Typecasting and limited opportunities for black actors forced him to step away from the industry. He married Julia Harper, and together they had children, but financial strain and emotional difficulties put immense pressure on their marriage. As work dried up, he became reclusive, living quietly and struggling with his declining health. In his later years, he was rarely seen in public, a stark contrast to the charismatic actor he once was. On April 6, 2015, he passed away from liver cancer at 64, his once promising career and personal dreams left unfulfilled.
They didn't break the mold, they just took one look and dropped it.
That's not Vanessa, come on.
Evening,
Teddy Wilson joined Good Times in 1976 at 33, embodying Sweet Daddy Williams, the smooth-talking hustler who exuded charm despite his questionable dealings. Off-screen, Wilson's career saw moderate success, with recurring roles in Sanford and Son, That's My Mama, and What's Happening, but he was often typecast as a hustler or comedic side character. Though he married actress Joan Pringle, his career frustrations, financial instability, and the pressures of show business weighed heavily on him. Struggling with stress and unhealthy habits, his health began to deteriorate in his 40s. Despite his undeniable talent, he was never able to break into leading roles, leaving him feeling overlooked in an industry that had little room for black actors beyond stereotypes. On July 21, 1991, he suffered a fatal stroke at just 47, dying far too young and leaving behind a career that had never given him the full recognition he deserved.
You kid. Like I say, I ain't here for no hassle. How's the painting coming, man?
It's almost done.
Oh, far out. See, because Savannah's gonna be in from Vegas in a couple of days.
Moses Gunn portrayed Carl Dixon in 1977 at 48, embodying a wise, compassionate father figure to the Evans family. A classically trained actor, he made his mark in films like Shaft, Roots, and The Never-Ending Story, yet despite his immense talent, he was rarely given the starring roles he deserved. Hollywood's racial biases meant that he often played strong but secondary characters, frustratingly close to the recognition he sought. Married to Gwendolyn Mama Landis, he found stability in his personal life, but his professional journey was filled with disappointments. As he aged, he suffered from worsening asthma, making it difficult to work. His declining health led to complications that ultimately took his life on December 16, 1993, at 64, a tragic loss for an actor who had given so much yet received so little in return.
Wait away. I spent 20 years in the Army. And I learned that whenever you had something left over, throw it away. Otherwise, they grind it up and serve it to you on a shingle the next day.
Helen Martin played Weeping Wanda Williams in 1974 at 65, bringing humor and pathos to her recurring role as the perpetually tearful neighborhood woman. A dedicated stage actress long before her TV fame, she fought against deep-seated racial and gender barriers in Hollywood, spending most of her career relegated to bit parts. Despite her comedic brilliance, she was often overlooked for major roles, forcing her to work tirelessly just to stay afloat. She never married and had no children, devoting herself entirely to her craft, but at the cost of a lonely personal life. Though she found later recognition in films like Don't Be a Menace and House Party, old age and health problems took their toll, leaving her increasingly frail. On March 25, 2000, she passed away from a heart attack at 90, her decades of struggle in the industry ending in quiet obscurity.
You halfway there, sister. Michael is my youngest child, and Willona, this is no place to discuss any.
Matthew Stymie Beard took on the role of Monty in Good Times in 1974 at the age of 49. Monty was a streetwise, fast-talking man who always seemed to have an answer for everything. His resourcefulness and charisma made him a valuable ally to the Evans family, often helping them navigate their struggles with humor and wisdom. Despite the light-hearted nature of his character, Beard's real life was anything but joyful. Once a beloved child actor in our gang, his career faded as he grew older, leaving him struggling to find work. Addiction to heroin and financial ruin followed, leading to a life of hardship. Though he later found stability working as a minister, his health was in shambles. A stroke in 1980 left him debilitated, and pneumonia soon followed, taking his life on January 8, 1981, at the age of 56. He died in obscurity, far from the bright lights that once shone on his young face, leaving behind a legacy overshadowed by tragedy.
Mr. Edwards, room number 3, please.
You can let the little girl have my turn.
I'm sorry, I can't do that. You know.
Bubba Smith appeared in Good Times in 1978, portraying Claude at the age of 33. A physically imposing yet gentle character, Claude was a guardian figure, always willing to step in and protect those in need. Off-screen, Smith had once been an NFL star, dominating the field with his sheer strength. However, the transition from sports to acting was not smooth, and despite finding fame in Police Academy, he never truly felt satisfied with his career. His personal life was equally unfulfilled. He never married, never had children, and often spoke of loneliness. In his later years, he suffered from severe pain due to his football injuries, leading him to rely on prescription drugs. On August 3, 2011, he was found dead in his Los Angeles home at the age of 66. The cause, acute drug intoxication, with a lethal combination of painkillers and weight loss medication in his system. A man once celebrated for his physical power was ultimately undone by the very body that had once made him a star.
Daddy is already taking care of that. Now I'm gonna give you one guess what I got him. A big pink hog. Moving along.
Richard Ward joined Good Times in 1975 as Henry Evans at the age of 60. Henry was a complicated man, estranged from his son James and struggling to make amends for past mistakes. His character mirrored much of Ward's own life, a man burdened by regret and lost connections. Ward was a talented actor with a deep, commanding presence, but he spent much of his career relegated to minor roles, never quite achieving the recognition he deserved. His personal life was turbulent. Married and divorced multiple times, he found it difficult to maintain long-term relationships. Financial instability haunted him, forcing him to take on roles he despised just to survive. On July 1, 1979, he suffered a massive heart attack and passed away at the age of 64. His death barely made the news, a quiet end to a man who had spent his entire life fighting for a place in an industry that never truly embraced him. James Wheaton played the bailiff in Good Times in 1974 at age 50, bringing a commanding yet understated presence to the courtroom scenes. Though his role was minor, his deep, authoritative voice made him a memorable part of the show. Unfortunately, his acting career never took off beyond small roles, leaving him struggling financially. His personal life was equally tragic. His marriage collapsed under the weight of financial difficulties, and his wife left him, taking their only son, David. Devastated by loneliness, Wheaton withdrew from social life, finding little solace in his work. As he aged, his health deteriorated. He suffered from diabetes and failing eyesight, but with limited income, he couldn't afford proper medical care. By the late 1990s, he lived in near poverty, largely forgotten by the industry he had spent decades trying to be part of. On June 9, 2002, at 78, he died alone from a heart attack in his small Los Angeles apartment.
You talking about painting it or rolling it?
Painting, of course. Naturally, the bank will pay for it in line with our policy of supporting ghetto youth.
Alice Ghostley played Hortense Dobbs in Good Times in 1977 at the age of 54. Hortense was an eccentric and humorous character, bringing a quirky energy to the show. Ghostley, known for her comedic timing, had a long career in television and film, but her success masked deep personal struggles. Though married to Feli, her life was marked by sorrow. She battled severe anxiety and depression, which often left her feeling isolated. As she aged, her health began to decline, and the vibrant actress who once lit up the screen found herself retreating from public life. In her later years, she was diagnosed with colon cancer, a disease that slowly drained her of strength. On September 21, 2007, she succumbed to the illness at the age of 84, her final years spent in quiet suffering. Despite a lifetime of laughter, her own story ended in a whisper rather than the applause she had always longed for.
We are here to see about getting a loan.
Well, in order to qualify for an SBA loan, you must be turned down by at least 2 banks. 4 would be better.
Johnny Sekka played Ibe Wobola in Good Times in 1977 at age 43, embodying a wise and proud African intellectual who brought cultural depth to the show. Born in Senegal and raised in Britain, Sekka had once been a rising star, but his career in Hollywood was a series of disappointments. Despite his talent, he was often typecast and denied substantial roles, which left him frustrated and bitter toward the industry. His personal life mirrored his professional struggles. His marriage to Cecilia Anger was rocky, plagued by financial difficulties and his growing anger over lost opportunities. Though they had a son, Lamine, Sekka's resentment and emotional distance strained their relationship. He turned to smoking as a form of escape, but it led to lung cancer, which spread aggressively in his later years. Lacking proper resources for treatment, he suffered immensely in his final months. On September 14, 2006, at 72, he passed away in London, feeling that his life's work had gone unrecognized.
My father owns a textile plant. I'm here taking an advanced business course so I can learn how to run it more efficiently.
He's working on his master's degree.
I hope you don't mind.
Gossett Jr. played Donald Knight in Good Times in 1974 at age 38, portraying a charismatic and respected figure. Though he later found fame in An Officer and a Gentleman, his life was marked by constant struggle. He faced systemic racism in Hollywood, which limited his opportunities despite his undeniable talent. His personal life was equally turbulent. His first marriage to Hattie Glasgow ended in legal battles, and his subsequent marriages to Christina Mangosing and Cindy James Reese also failed. Though he had 2 sons, Sati and Sharon, his demanding career left him an often absent father, creating emotional distance. In his later years, he battled prostate cancer and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, which slowly robbed him of his strength. Once a commanding presence, he became frail and dependent on medical care. On March 29, 2024, at 87, he passed away from complications of COPD, leaving behind a legacy of triumph overshadowed by personal hardship.
Now, it's not yours to give back.
It's mine, and I want to keep it. I knew you'd act like this. That's why I didn't want Donald to come here.
Ron Glass played Mr. Anderson in Good Times in 1974 at age 29, portraying a sophisticated and intellectual character who provided moral guidance. He later gained recognition in Barney Miller and Firefly, yet despite his success, he remained a deeply private and solitary man. Glass never married, and while he had strong friendships, he often retreated into his own world. Though admired for his acting, he felt creatively unfulfilled, believing he was typecast and denied the range of roles he truly deserved. As he aged, he became increasingly reclusive, making fewer public appearances. His health declined due to respiratory issues, and without close family to support him, he faced his final years alone. On November 25, 2016, at 71, he died from respiratory failure, his passing a quiet and somber end to a life filled with both achievement and loneliness.
The census to compensate. For instance, I'd say the young man is 12 years old, about 5 feet, and extremely intelligent.
Thank you.
Thelmus Rasulala took on the role of Ernie Harris in Good Times in 1975 at the age of 36, bringing charisma and charm to the character, who was a supportive and smooth-talking presence in the Evans family's lives. While he was known for his commanding screen presence, Rasulala struggled to find long-term success in Hollywood, often being relegated to minor roles in television and blaxploitation films, a stark contrast to his Shakespearean training. Despite his talents, he was frequently overlooked, leading to financial instability. His personal life was tumultuous. He married Shirley Rasulala, but their relationship was fraught with difficulties, ending in a painful divorce. He had children but was often absent from their lives due to his struggles in the industry. As he aged, his health deteriorated, and he suffered from hypertension and stress-related ailments. His final years were marked by increasing isolation, and on October 9, 1991, at the age of 55, he died of a heart attack.
Celebrating finishing the inventory.
We had a wonderful time once your wife got comfortable on the floor.
Adam Wade appeared as Frank Mason in Good Times in 1978 at the age of 43, portraying a sophisticated and articulate character who brought elegance and wisdom to the series. Wade, a trailblazer as the first black game show host and a talented singer, initially found success in the entertainment industry but faced significant setbacks as opportunities dwindled. His music career suffered due to the racial barriers of the time, and acting roles became scarce, forcing him to take on menial jobs to survive. His marriage to Jeree Wade provided some stability, but financial struggles put immense pressure on their relationship. Though they had children together, Wade was often too consumed by his declining career to be fully present. In his later years, he battled Parkinson's disease, which slowly robbed him of his ability to perform, leaving him a shadow of his former self. His final years were spent in and out of hospitals, and on July 7, 2022, at the age of 87, he succumbed to complications from the disease.
That means you got another honey in there.
I sure do. Come on up, baby.
What is it, Mama?
Mama?
Pauline Myers portrayed Lena Anderson in Good Times in 1976 at the age of 63, playing a strong and resilient woman who embodied wisdom and perseverance. Myers had a distinguished career, often portraying matriarchal figures, but she never achieved widespread fame. Despite her extensive work in television, she remained largely unrecognized, often cast in roles that reinforced stereotypes rather than celebrated her depth as an actress. She never married and had no children, spending much of her life alone, with only a few close friends. The loneliness weighed on her, and as she aged, she faced financial hardship, unable to secure steady work in Hollywood's youth-obsessed industry. In her final years, she suffered from declining health and limited mobility, making even simple tasks difficult. On December 8, 1996, at the age of 83, she died of natural causes, her passing barely noticed by the industry to which she had devoted her life.
What's come over you, Lynn?
It's not me, Henry. It's you. You've changed. You used to make me feel important.
Taurean Blacque played Chopper in 1977 at 37, portraying a tough yet fiercely loyal character who would do anything to protect his friends. Though a small role, it reflected Blacque's ability to bring depth to streetwise, complex characters. His real breakthrough came with Hill Street Blues, earning him critical acclaim, but despite his talent, Hollywood never fully embraced him. Frustrated with limited opportunities, he turned to theater, but financial struggles followed. A deeply religious man, he adopted 11 children, trying to build the family he had never truly experienced himself. However, the burden of supporting such a large household proved overwhelming, and financial troubles haunted him for years. In his later life, he battled illness and withdrew from public life, his health deteriorating rapidly. On July 21, 2022, he passed away at 82 after a brief illness, his once powerful presence on screen reduced to a fading memory, leaving behind a legacy that never received the full recognition it deserved.
My lovely lady.
Dad has to move from his present apartment. And my wife and I, well, our place is kind of small, and he'd have to sleep on the couch. You know how it is.
Yeah.
DeForest Covan played Reverend Beasley in 1978 at 61, portraying a kind-hearted and wise preacher who offered spiritual guidance to the Evans family. His character was a voice of reason and morality, always seeking to uplift those around him. Covan's career stretched back to the 1930s, with small roles in films like The Cotton Club and Rocky, but he was consistently relegated to minor, often uncredited parts due to Hollywood's racial barriers. His work was overlooked, and despite decades in the industry, he never experienced true stardom. He married young, but his wife left him after years of financial instability, and they had no children, leaving him without close family in his later years. As he aged, he suffered from memory loss and struggled to support himself, relying on the kindness of a few old friends. On September 8, 2007, he passed away at 89 from undisclosed causes, his death barely making news. A tragic ending for a man who had dedicated his life to an industry that never fully acknowledged him.
Ooh, good golly, Miss Martin. Good to me.
Gary Coleman played Gary Daniels in 1978 at 10, bringing humor and charm to Good Times with his natural comedic timing. Already a rising child star, he later became famous for Different Strokes, but his life off-screen was filled with hardship. Despite earning millions, he was financially exploited by his parents and advisors, leaving him bankrupt by adulthood. His health was a constant battle due to a congenital kidney disease that stunted his growth, leading to years of medical issues and painful treatments. He married Shannon Price, but the relationship was volatile and filled with public disputes. His career declined, and he struggled with depression, working odd jobs to survive. On May 28, 2010, after an accidental fall caused a brain hemorrhage, he was taken off life support at 42. His tragic life epitomized the dark side of child stardom, a promising talent destroyed by greed, illness, and misfortune.
What's the big idea?
Charlotte Rae appeared in Good Times in 1974 as Ms. Rogers at the age of 48, playing a nurturing figure who provided warmth to the children in the community. In reality, Ray's own personal life was anything but comforting. She was married to composer John Strauss, and they had 2 sons, but her world shattered when Strauss came out as bisexual after 25 years of marriage. Their divorce left her devastated, forced to navigate single motherhood while battling her own struggles with depression and alcoholism. Despite her success in Different Strokes and The Facts of Life, behind the laughter was a woman tormented by the loss of the life she had envisioned. In her final years, she was diagnosed with bone cancer, enduring intense pain before succumbing to cardiac arrest on August 5, 2018, at the age of 92. Though she had spent a lifetime bringing joy to audiences, her own story was one of heartbreak, loneliness, and the constant struggle for peace.
Oh, it must be sheer heaven living with such an amusing man.
Roscoe Lee Brown portrayed Reverend Sam in Good Times in 1974 when he was 52. A man of wisdom and dignity, Reverend Sam provided a voice of reason, his commanding presence bringing gravitas to the show. Brown, too, was known for his eloquence, but his career was a constant battle against racial stereotyping. Despite his Shakespearean background and distinguished voice, Hollywood confined him to roles that barely scratched the surface of his abilities. He never married, rumored to be a deeply private man who struggled with his identity in an industry that demanded conformity. Though respected, he never attained the widespread recognition his talent deserved, a truth that weighed on him as he aged. In 2007, he was diagnosed with stomach cancer, a disease that quietly consumed him. He passed away on April 11, 2007, at the age of 84, his final years spent in solitude, reflecting on a career that had given him prestige but never fulfillment.
No, sir.
Ah, then perhaps the press.
Well, I think not, sir. They look, well, rather ordinary.
Oh. Constituents.
Rosalind Cash took on the role of Jessica Bishop in Good Times in 1976 at the age of 38. Jessica was a fiercely independent woman who challenged expectations, a reflection of Cash's own determination to defy the limitations placed on black actresses in Hollywood. Though she found critical acclaim in films like The Omega Man, 1971, and Uptown Saturday Night, 1974, mainstream success always eluded her. She resented the industry's refusal to give her the leading roles she deserved, forced instead into supporting characters that never fully showcased her talent. Despite her striking presence and sharp intelligence, Cash's personal life was marked by loneliness. She never married, never had children, and spoke openly about her struggles with isolation. In her later years, her health deteriorated, but she kept her suffering private. On October 31, 1995, she died of cancer at the age of 56, her final days spent in quiet obscurity, far from the stardom she once pursued so passionately. Who is your favorite character in Good Times? How do you feel knowing that the actors have passed away? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. Thank you so much.